What is a titration? A titration is a technique where a solution of known concentration, or the titrant, is used to determine the concentration of an unknown solution, or the analyte. An endpoint is when the color changes due to the indicator. This is an approximation of the equivalence point. The data needed before you begin the procedure is the initial volume of the analyte, the endpoint color, and the volume and concentration of the standard solution. The data needed to determine the unknown variable is the final volume once the endpoint is reached and the balanced chemical equation. In order to prime the burette, you must first rinse with water and let it fully drain out. Then you will rinse the burette with the solution, in this case sodium hydroxide, making sure to coat the entire inside of the burette. You can do so by rolling the burette on its side. Finally, drain all the solution from the burette and repeat 3 times and you will be ready to get started. First, you should lower the burette to eye level and record the initial volume. Mallory determines the initial volume to be 49.12 milliliters. In order to read a volume in a burette, you must look at the meniscus and note the value to 1 degree of uncertainty, which is 2 decimal places in this case. Then, subtract that value from the total capacity of the burette, which is 50 milliliters. Allow the solution to flow into the flask and swirl constantly. Once the solution turns a light pink color, you have reached the end point and should stop the flow. The flask pictured on the right has reached its end point. Record the final volume using the same techniques as before, then subtract the final volume from the initial to get the volume delivered. Mallory's final volume is 24.17 milliliters. Safe's initial volume was 50 milliliters. He then performs the titration and stops the flow once the endpoint is reached. He then holds the burette eye level and records the final volume to be 29.26 milliliters. Kevon holds the burette eye level and records her initial volume to be 49.65 milliliters. She then performs the titration, swirling and stopping at the endpoint when the light pink color is seen. She records her final volume as 29.91 milliliters. Parker holds the burette eye level and finds her initial volume to be 49.95 milliliters. Parker then performs the titration by emptying a volume into the flask until the light pink color is reached. She records her final volume as 31.27 milliliters. This image shows 2 flasks that have reached the endpoint. This image shows a range of titrations going from good to bad, with the magenta being a titration with a lot of error. This is what your data table should look like once you have recorded all necessary values.